I was asked to do Riven Masteries, so here we go. They actually switched the position of Resolve and Ferocity back to the way it should be, with offense here on the left. So that was in the patch today. But nevertheless, Masteries are pretty much the same as yesterday. So obviously you'll probably go 2% increased ability and spell damage as opposed to getting attack speed on Riven, and then double-edged sword, clearly because it's really buff right now. You don't really need the feast, and with the lifesteal, of course, and you'll deal an additional 3% damage, and you only take 1.5%. So that's actually up from live as well. So that mastery is buffed for melee. Still not that good on ranged, but and then lifesteal and spell vamp as opposed to attack damage and ability power. Natural talent is mainly going to be for hybrid champions like Kale. But then again, they also might like lifesteal and spell vamp, so that could be uh, debatable. So this is another one that's gonna be this actually no, that'd be the first real choice you want to make on Raven. Whether you want to get Bounty Hunter for the 5% increased damage if you kill everyone on the enemy team, or if you want to get 2.5% increased damage to targets with stuns or slows. So that would include Riven's own damage from W, I think. I'm not actually sure about that. Maybe it's only the auto attack after you stun them, or whatever abilities you hit. So like you could W, and then you get like 2.5% increased damage on your ult cast. So I'm not sure how long Oppressor lasts. So that's all dependent on the interaction of that mastery. But I probably would go Oppressor just so that you have more snowball potential. You can get those kills earlier, and you're not necessarily going to need 3 to 5% increased damage, most likely. Which actually, that's still really good. I'm not actually sure. They're both good in their own way, put it that way. And then obviously you go armor penetration, and since not a lot of people build crit on Riven, I probably wouldn't go Warlord's Bloodlust, and Deathfire Touch is just really lackluster on AoE. So since Riven's Q is AoE, area of effect damage and damage over time abilities apply half of this damage over 1.5 seconds instead. So instead of 6 plus 50% of your bonus attack damage, it would be like half of that, which isn't that good. So that leaves you with the new blade weaving, spell weaving, legendary mastery, whatever you want to call it. Basic attacks and spells grant you a stack of fervor for 5 seconds, maximum 10 stacks. Each stack of fervor worth 1 to 8 physical damage based on your level. So this is only on your basic attacks, but it's actually a huge part of Riven's damage comes from auto attacks. So this is the improved version of spell and blade weaving that you would already take on Riven. So that's the clear choice. And as far as going cunning, I don't think I would go cunning because none of these are really leaping out to me except maybe merciless. We'll go over that in a second. So this is my first setup, and I think the health regen and this runic armor will actually be really good on Riven because you would go Ravenous Hydra, then you get the regen, scales up on that percentage bonus, and then lifesteal and spell vamp from vampirism as well. And then you would get access to the reduced spell cooldown. So I want to say if they nerf teleport, it'll be like flash ignite most of the time, and that'd be really good to have those up. Cooldown reduction in general would be nice though. So there may be a cooldown setup that I'm not seeing that might be really good, or maybe what is it, Thunderlord's Decree? Maybe this mastery is overtuned and I just don't know it. But this looks like a decent setup. for Riven, and I'll show one more. So it'd be basically the same stuff. I'm gonna go bounty hunter this time. I don't really know what I would want out of those two. It doesn't really, neither of those seem like that great of masteries. Probably go with the buffs because I'm greedy, and obviously go with merciless because this is the main reason for going in this tree. If you decide to go with cunning, you definitely want to get 5% increased damage with two champions below 40% health. That's actually very relevant. So maybe this is a good combo too, like these two together. And you would still get the dangerous game as well. You just miss out on a little bit of the regeneration. You miss out on some of the extra shield and healing that you would get if you go runic armor. But this is more damage, so that's something to consider. Do you want more damage or do you want more utility? So it's actually a clear difference now. This isn't necessarily defense tree, I would call it anymore. It's more like a full offensive tree, and like offensive and defensive tree at the same time, because there's quite a bit of damage still in this tree. So these are the two pages that I would use for Riven, and most of the time this is going to be preference if it's not immediately obvious which master you take. So I could go either way. I'll have to see how it plays out in game.